Welcome here today. I'm Cynthia, helping practice leader at Marathon. I also wear another hat as a career coach at Localized. We run our weekly sessions on Monday. They are specific into the uh, career coaching, job interviews, and resumes. Joining me here are my co-facilitators, Iyad and Hayat. Please feel free to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Iyad, and I coach in residence with Localized, and I'm with Hayat and Cynthia at Sparathon, running the workshops, the weekly workshops at Localized.
Hi guys, thank you Cynthia, thank you Iyad. I'm Hayat, I'm a content practice leader at Sparathon, and we do a weekly career workshop here with Localized every Monday, and I'm thrilled to be joining you here today.
Thank
And
you.
I'll hand it back to Cynthia, and let's kick this off.
Okay, thank you so much, Hayat. Okay, if we go down through the material, we have this is us, Cynthia, Iyad, and Hayat, and you can check our LinkedIn and our profile on Localized. And now we can see our agenda for today. We have 10 minutes intro, then we have the 20 minutes for framework and practice, then 20 minutes for CV template, and the last 10 minutes will be about questions and answers. So now, if we can start with the structures, our structures for today are all about 7 C's, what, why, how, and the power of 3. These are the methods and the techniques that we'll use in our communication in the CV, the frameworks. So if we start with the frameworks, we can start with the 7 C's. 7 C's, they are 7 elements we use to craft the art of communication. We use them in the verbal and written communication. So here in the CV, we use them in the written communication. As we can see here, we have the 7 elements. They are clear, clean, concise, creative, customized, confident, and credible. So let's dive into each one of them to know what they are all about. Clear is the ease of understanding, how we can make our communication understandable for other people. First, we will take an overview here, then we'll go to the practical section after. If we go down to the clean section, it's about the, here, if we see the practical view of the clear. So after we talked about the clear, it's the ease of understanding, as we said. Here we have 2 sentences. If there are anyone from the chat would like to start with us to guess what is the sentence that is most clear here? Do we have any volunteer here who would like to practice with us? We can see in the chat. Yeah, you can write in the chat actually. If anyone would like to start with us, you can write in the chat. Second is clear. It's from Donald. As we can see here, the second one can be more clear. Why? Can you tell us why, Donald? Or Hadi? Thank you so much for your answer. You can write us also in the chat. What do you think? To the point and simple. Yes, exactly. So it's all about clarity. So it's clear because it's to the point and because it's simple. Thank you so much, Hadi, for the explanation. Okay, if we go back to the second element, we have the clean. Clean is the absence of filler words. So we need to make our communication understandable, as we said in the clear part. Also, we need to make it clean without any filler words or mistakes. So here, as you can see, guys, what do you think is clear here more? The first one or the second one? The second one as well. Well, why do you think so, Hadi? Easier vocabulary and straightforward representation of idea. Exactly. Thank you so much. Exactly as Hadi said, it's all about this. And also, if you can notice in the first sentence, there are some filler words and mistakes in the writing. So yeah, it's all about that. Donald, no errors or assumptions. Exactly, Donald. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is it. The second one is right. If we go down to the third element now, we have the concise element. The concise is all about the economy of words. Here we have something related to the length of the things that we are talking about. So we can say that less is more in our communication. So what do you think, guys? The idea that delivers from these two sentences, which one is concise more? If you have any question, feel free to ask me whenever you want, also in the chat. We have here from Hadi the first because it has less words and understandable. Eddie also said first sentence. Exactly. Thank you so much, guys. Amazing. The first one is the right one because it's shorter. And as we said, less is more. Okay. Now, if we go to the fourth element, if we can scroll down the material into the fourth element. Yes, it's the creator part. So creator part, it's all about authenticity and raise your own voice. So when we are writing our own CV, we need to present our own expertise and avoid any other prepared templates. Now we can see templates everywhere, but we need to present our own voice and our own experience with the authenticity part. So here, what do you think, guys, that is more creative? The second one, well, fast answer. Thank you, Hadi. Why do you think so? Well, as Hadi said, it's yes. I can tell you that it's right. Let's see Hadi's opinion about that. It is describing him more specifically, not a template. Exactly. You can say it's a story. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, if we go to the customized part, when we are talking about customization, it's about the relevance to the subject that we are talking about to avoid any other distracting ideas and focus only on the subject that we are presenting. Like, for example, you can see here we have two sentences from a CV. Imagine that you are writing your own CV and your own story and or other one stories, like for example, a content writer. What do you think is the most customized here? The second one is more customized. Well, why do you think that, Hadi? I will repeat the customization. It's about the relevance to the subject. Like, for example, if I am a project manager and I'm presenting myself to the employer, I need to talk about my expertise in the project management context. Maybe I did other things as hobbies, as other majors, but what is important now to present myself as a project manager, because this is the title that I'm applying for. We can mention them like as a second priority, but not the main thing. Okay, so first, because it is more consistent. Yes, Hadi, thank you. But here we are talking about customization. So if we can focus on the customization more, if we can see that in the second sentence, I am a content writing specialist with 2 years of experience, passionate about programming and problem solving. I've also completed a boot camp in architecture. So here we can see that this guy is amazing. He's a content writer. He did programming and architecture, but he's applying for a content writer role. So what is important here, the CV to be customized on the content writing role and avoiding any other roles that he did before. He can mention that in the expertise in the second priority section, but on the title, for example, the title of the CV, we need to be very clear and put content writing in the summary. We can say, I'm a content writer specialist. I have 2 years of work experience. I wrote scientific blogs in healthcare and cosmetic. What I want is to grow more in this field. What does that mean here? We can see healthcare, cosmetic, yes, but this guy is a content writer and he writes blogs about that. Not that he had several majors. So let me know, guys, if the idea is more clear now about customization, because it's very important. Like the main example for this in the title, in your CV, when you're putting a title, you need to be customized. Like I am a content writer, not a content writer plus programmer plus architecture. Okay, guys, this is it. If you have any other question, please let me know, and we will have the last 10 minutes for questions and answers. Now, if we go with the confident part, the confident, it's about the factual information and the strong voice you can bring to the conversation, the strong tone. So you need to present your personality with a strong tone and courageous tone. So here, what do you think that can be more confident between these two? The second has stronger tone. Thank you, Hadi. Yes, exactly. As you can say, like for example, we bold the words as the first one. We tried, it seems, there might, it's not entirely clear. Those are not confident. So we need to be very confident presenting ourselves verbally or non-verbally in the CV or in the interview. Okay, so the second one is the right one. Now, going to the last element of this 7 C's, we have the last but not least, the credible part. Credibility, it's about the factual information and the strong argument that you can bring to the table. How? It's with the certificates, resources, recommendations, proofs of your past work, any proof of your work. Like when you are telling anyone about your work, you are strong because you have proofs about your work. You are credible here. Also, you can present it with percentages, results, details. So what do you think, guys, here more credible? Also, you can sense it actually. The second one, Donald. Thank you. Thank you, Donald and Hadi. Thank you so much for your participation. We can see here that the second one is more credible because it has actual proofs and information to add more value about your work presentation. So now we've finished with the 7 C's. I hope that you can take advantage of these elements to apply them into your CV. As you will see now, Iyad will present more a practical work about the CV, and we will see how we can implement the 7 C's and also the other methods, what, why, how, and the power of three that Hayat will lead to enter into the CV. Thank you so much, Donald and Hadi, for your participation. And we'll go now to the second part.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're gonna go to the second part. We're gonna talk about, like, we share a specific CV or a resume. And this is a question that we get all the time. What is the difference between a CV and a resume? So for kind of just make it really easy, think about resumes are more American slash Canadian style of writing CVs. Very concise, very clear, very customized. It's more about achievements, a one page, 99% of the times, and not a lot of talking on resumes. It's all about telling more with less. Now, CVs in the United States, in Canada, are more related to academia or research jobs and less about industry jobs. But outside the United States, CVs are more common, and we're talking about more or less CVs and resumes are pretty much the same outside the United States. So what we're going to share right now is a sample of a resume that we developed at Localized, and we can talk about, analyze it for the next 15 minutes or so. So you can see here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yeah, it's clear.
Perfect. So when you have when you have your name, you don't have to say name Iyad Yaqub or name Cynthia Salman or name Hayat or name Michelle. You just put your name right away. So like this, right? That makes it really easy. You don't have to tell people about something if they can discover it themselves, and immediately put the title you're applying for. As if you're applying for full stack development jobs, immediately put the full stack development. Then put the you don't have to put the full address for confidentiality reasons. Put the country or the city and the country, your phone number, your email, and a link to your LinkedIn or your digital profile. It could be a localized profile, could be anything you want. Now we like to start with skills because they're more tangible, and immediately you can tell if someone is the right fit for your company from their skills. So back to the what Cynthia was talking about, being clear and concise. Try to be clear and concise here in your skills section. How do you do that? Well, start by not putting a lot of skills. It's not more skills the better. It's actually less skills the better, because you tell the reader that these are the skills I like and I work on, and I can add value to your company using these skills. Same thing with if you're categorizing them into sections like web development technologies or programming languages or things like that. And if you have non-technical skills like problem solving or others, and they're core requirements of the job, please feel free to add them as well. Now, it's recommended not to put a lot of behavioral or slash soft skills, whatever they call them, because it's more serving and you're self-claimed. Everyone will say, I have teamwork skills or have leadership skills or detail oriented, whatever. Try to minimize those. It's better actually not to put them and create more space and real estate for other things. Now, when we go to the experience section, now uh, it's important to mention that the most important sections on your resume is your skills, your experience, and your education. These are like core requirements. I call them core, right? It's skills, experience, and education. C, all right? SEE. Now, however, you can add other sections on your resume. I call them more. It's like projects or volunteering or leadership or whatever that is. But you have to have something about experience, you have to have something about education, and you have to have something about skills. Okay? Especially in today's world, very important to be very, very clear about these three things. Now, in the experience section, you can tell here that we created this 3 bullets per job. One is a full stack developer and the other one is an intern. You can write the name of the company after the title, or you can do the other way around. Whatever serves you more, put it the way you like. So, for example, if the title that you have right now, or the most recent title, is very relevant to the job you're applying for, and the name of the company is not well known, highly recommend that you put the name of the title first. You put title first, then company after. However, let's say your title is a legal intern, but the company is like a well-known company in your field and everybody recognizes the name, then I would start putting the name of the company first, then I put the title. That makes sense? Let's see if people are responding. Okay, perfect. Okay, do not put too many details. Sometimes you just have to put the month and the year, month and the year. If you're still working at the company, just put the month and the year and just put present or till now, or just keep it open. Okay? Now, this is the most important line on your resume. This one is the most recent job, first bullet on your most recent job, because the most recent job is the highest that you get to in your career, most likely. And first bullet is the most important thing you've done at this job. So pay attention what you write here. The best way to write something here is to write what you did, why you did it, and how you did it. The what, the why, and the how. Or the what, so what, and now what. Do not overwrite here. Make it very clear so for people to understand what you did, and then come back to you with questions, which is basically the second round interviews. Now, let's say you don't have a lot of formal experience, but you've done things on your own. You can add a section called projects or personal projects or personal work or freelance or whatever. These things here you add are very important to tell the employer or the recruiter that you are a self-learner, you're initiating things on your own, and you're not only bounded by the experience here, you also have things that you worked on that added more to your repertoire of skills. And last thing, your education. Again, education is important if it's important. Now, if you have something, the major is not directly related to the job you're applying for, that doesn't mean you don't mention your education. That doesn't mean that your education doesn't have value. Your education is beyond the major. Your major is one part of your education, but your college experience, your communication skills that you gained, leadership, even the major you took in your undergrad or master's, even if it's not relevant, it is relevant in terms of critical thinking and problem solving, managing projects, working with other people from different backgrounds, neurodiversity, things like that. The name of the university also could be a plus. So do not underestimate your education when you write on your resume. All right, so I'm gonna stop here. As you can see here is a one-page resume, and we can share the resources with you, so don't worry. But it's a one-page resume. You can write a lot if you play with the margins and know what to write and what not to write. And highly recommend that let other people see your resume. Use Grammarly or OpenAI or use other tools to make sure that you don't have any typos or mistakes. All right, I'll stop here and see if you have any questions. Let's see, let's go to the chat. Do you have any questions about, all right, what about certifications, when we can add them? Where we can add them? So great question. Certifications are, they have two places basically you can add certifications. Certifications for people who are on the call, it could be industry certifications. So let's say you have a certification in Java, right, from Coursera, or you have a certification in, I don't know, communication skills from Udemy or other platforms, or you took a class, English class at a local center in your city. These are valuable because first, you're telling a story about your learning. You're sharing with the employer that I have this skill, and this is a proof that I have the skill. Two things I would recommend to add to your certification. Create a section called certifications if you want, but don't make it the most dominant because there are other things more important. Unless if it's required to have the certification in the job description, then you can make it more highlighted. The other way to do it is in your skill section, you can say, I have the skill and there's a certification about that. That's also possible. My recommendation, do not make your certifications that the more certifications I have, the better. I used to make this mistake 20 years ago. What I would say, make them very contextual, back to what Cynthia shared, customized. If a job requires this certification, put it and highlight it. If it doesn't, but it helps, then put it and highlight it, but in a contextually. And if it doesn't require, then you might send a signal that you're just taking certifications for the sake of certifications, right? Do we need to add the highlight, sorry, part in the beginning of the resume? What is the highlighted part? I'm not sure what do you mean by the highlighted part, Manal? These are highlighted things are just examples that we're highlighting, but you don't have to highlight anything. Okay, for the sake of time, I'm gonna hand it over to, oh, the highlights or the, okay. You can, actually you can, and it's recommended. It's like a summary of your summary, which is your resume means a summary at the top. That's fine. Profile, highlights, summary, objective, whatever you want. All right, hand it over to Hayat to tell us more about the power of three. All right, so Hayat, the floor
Oh, hi guys.
yours. Okay,
Can you hear me?
yes, perfect. Yes, we can.
Okay. First of all, I'm very sorry for the connection. I lost connection with you, and I'm sorry because I have the flu, so I might sound a little bit weird. So just okay. So now, thank you, Cynthia, for the 7 Cs, and thank you, Iyad, for the explanation on the CV. That was very helpful. And now we're going to move to the second and the third structures that we use when we write our resumes. So before I start, I want to show you some pictures, which are these. They're famous stories, and I'm sure most of you know most of them. But even if you don't worry, because you can answer the question just by looking at their names. So we have the Three Musketeers, we have the Three Little Pigs, and we have the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So what similarities do you find in these three stories that you see? Think about it and you can write in the chat, what do they have in common? And I will keep going and I'll give you more clues so you can maybe guess what they have in common. So, for example, I'll tell you about a very famous saying that we use in our daily life. We say, ready, set, go. Another thing we use is when we want to start doing something, we say, let's start at the count of three. 1, 2, 3. So Donald guessed and Manal also guessed. They said the magical number 3, which is correct. they all have three elements, three main elements. They're all focusing on the number three. Well, is this a coincidence? Of course not. Even marketing people who love to make use of every bit of anything also use this in their marketing strategies. For example, as we see here in the slogans for some famous companies like Nike, they say, just do it. McDonald's, I'm loving it. They all consist of three words, three main words. Even the abbreviation for some companies' names, some of the most famous companies, they also consist of three letters: MTV, NBA, DHL, HBO, as you can see here on the screen. So back to the question, is this all a coincidence, or is there anything behind the number three? Of course, it's not a coincidence, and yeah, definitely it's not a coincidence. It can actually be traced back to neuroscience because three is the smallest number required to create a pattern, and our brains love patterns. So that's why when we say things and when we write things in terms of three or in groups of three, it's much easier for our brains in general to memorize those things and to remember them in general. So that's why it's very important to use the power of three or the rule of three in our writing or even in our verbal communication. Think about when someone says something to you and you don't like it. What do you tell them? You tell them blah, blah, blah. So you don't say blah or you don't say blah, blah. No, it has to be three, blah, blah, blah. Even you might have come to this workshop because there are three of us, who knows? That's the power of three. Okay, it's amazing. How can we use it in our resume, or how is it relevant? It's very simple. Just focus on threes, focus on groups of three. So as Iyad just mentioned, the CV in general or the resume consists of three core parts or three main parts, which are the experience, the skills, and the education. And if you double down on any of them, for example, if we're talking about the experience, try to focus on three main points when you're talking about your work experience. So whenever you're writing your resume, just ask yourself this question: what are the three most important things that I've done in that job? And write those down. What are the most important three things that I'm proud of in my last work experience? And write those down. That's how you can use the power of three and make your work experience more memorable to the one who is reading your resume. Because if you write more than three main points, it's very improbable that the recruiter or anyone who's reading your CV is gonna read all of the points that you mentioned. That's why it's very, very important to know what to write and to, as Iyad and Cynthia said, less is more. And yeah, that's the power of three. And here you can see an example how you can write, thank you, Iyad, how you can write your work experience in a CV in terms of three. So as you see here, and as you saw in the CV that Iyad shared too, we're focusing on three main things. So the first one is talking about leading digital marketing. The second is talking about another point that they did in their job. And the third is about the last point that they found is the most relevant, the most important that they did in their work experience. So that's the power of three. And now we'll move to the last one, which is the what, why, how, or in other words, what, so what, now what. It can also be related somehow to the power of three, because here we're also focusing on three main points. So what is the subject matter or what we did, and then we have the why we did it, the why behind the matter, and the third one is the how, which is the process or the tool set or the methodology that we use to get to the what. So this might sound pretty basic to a lot of people, but in fact, when we come to write down our resumes, or it's not always about our resumes, maybe we're writing down something else, or maybe we're even communicating verbally with people. We think it's spacing and we know what we want to say, what we want to write, but when we actually come to write it, we tend to drop many things. So we can find ourselves just focusing on the what and dropping the why or the how. And by the way, the why can be the most important factor or element. Sorry about that. Blue, sorry. So I was saying that the why is the most important element about your work. That's why it's very important to remember to mention it. So the why, the what, and the how. Hi again.
No worries, no worries. Hayat,
Thank you, yeah. So
happy to continue if you want. No worries.
yeah, I'm almost done.
Perfect.
We'll just see how to use this on the CV. So if you move to the next slide. Okay, yes, you can take over. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. Hope you feel better. Absolutely. So Hayat mentioned the power of three and the what, why, and how. And this is an example that Hayat built about the what, why, and how. So basically, it's just when you share with someone something, you have to tell them what you did, the reason of doing something, and how you actually did it. This is like a complete sentence on your resume, even in a job interview, even if you are like a career fair, even if you're socially or professionally connecting with other people. People like to get more context, more information, so they can complete this story about yourself in their heads. So look at this example. Led a digital marketing transformation to increase online engagement and lead generation, which is adding more like traffic to your pipeline by implementing data-driven strategies that resulted in 60% surge increase in online engagement and 45% rise in lead generation with 6 months. So this is a lengthy word, like sentence, but you can tell here, led a digital marketing transformation. This is the what. So if someone asks you, what did you do? I would say, I led a digital marketing transformation. Why you did it? That's the reason. Two, right? To increase online engagement and lead generation. That's the main reason. Otherwise, why you're leading digital marketing? Some different people have different reasons. If you're building a mobile app, why did you build this mobile app? Well, to actually increase traffic. Why did you implement performance reviews and management as an HR? Well, in order to create more equity in the organization and have structured compensation. You know, whatever the reason is, the business reason, it's recommended that you add that to your conversation. And last is how. This is very, very important. Implemented data-driven strategies, resulting in 60% surge in online engagement and 45% lead generation. So this is where you ask something, explain how you did it. It tells the person in front of you that I'm an expertise, I have expertise in this conversation. All right. So we're here, we're done with the content. The last few minutes we want to chat with you is more like doing the questions and answers, and maybe we can do a demo, but let's answer your questions first. All right, so someone asked a question here in the questions and answers. How about profile image? Should we include that? And the answer is 90% of the times, no. 10% of the times, if they ask you to add your profile picture or a picture, then feel free to add it. If they don't ask you for it, don't add it. All right, awesome. Let's see here. Let's say you are a fresh graduate with only internship experience means. All right, what should be included in the experience part? Internship is experience. All right, internship is experience. The word experience with a capital E, not just post graduation work experience. anything that has professional skills development and you have someone you worked with or you worked for, then that's experience, even if it's not relevant 100% to the work you're applying for. For example, if you worked as a waiter at a restaurant or fast food restaurant and you're applying for a software engineer, this is experience. You're not learning technical skills, but you're learning behavioral skills, right? If you have an internship experience at a company and it's only 2 months and you mainly was more about your learning, that's experience because you learned how to do things technically and behaviorally at a professional workplace. So the word experience is more inclusive than what people usually think. All right. Any other questions here? I use resume worded to check score of my resume. I recommended given to me a minimum of 12 bullets in experience. Okay, interesting. Projects, activity combined. So maybe for clarification, must with the bullet point be strictly 3? Uh, Definitely not 12. I've never seen a 12 bullet experience, but the word 3 is most recommended because it's the right balance between being very concise and also complete. So you want to add 4 because you have 4 things you did at this job. You can do that. Absolutely. Or you can only have 2 and you don't have any third thing. You can add, you only have 2, especially if you have a lot of experience, right? So, but 3 is the most recommended, and there's a neuroscience like a reason for it, as Hayat mentioned. So it's not science per se, it's the art of telling a story. Although there's science for it. What are the most important things I should know about my CV pick? Get my CV pick and get an interview. Well, the most important thing is 2 things. Number one, do not rely on your CV or resume to get a job. That's like counterintuitive, right? But your CV and interview or any assets you build, like your digital profile, your portfolio, your cover letter, whatever that is, it's part of the process. It's not the process. So it's your job is not gone and done or whatever. It's one step you're doing here is to actually build a very strong resume because it's coming out of you. This is under your control and you submit it the right way. So building quality applications, but also use quality channels to get jobs. Just relying on submitting resumes and CVs won't get you, statistically speaking, one per or 0.5% chance that you're going to get a job. The most effective slash efficient way to get a job is to have a resume and use it as your business card after you connect with someone. When they ask you, oh, send me your resume, I know someone who can connect you to someone, or I know the hiring manager of this job, then you can send your resume. That's the most efficient slash effective. Understandably so, that's not the most common way, or not. Sometimes this is not possible. So that's the one thing you need to understand. The second thing is your resume reflects your ability to communicate. So if you can communicate effectively, you can write a very strong resume. But if you communicate poorly, that's going to reflect poorly on your resume. So try to tell a story about your communication skills, right? By far the most important skills of the workplace, by building a strong resume. Using the 7 C's, the W, what, why, and how, and the power of 3, you can build a strong resume this way. And we have templates for you, so you can just make it easier for you. So you don't have to create, you just curate. Awesome. All right, Hayat, Cynthia, do you have anything you would like to share?
Well, thank you, guys. I really enjoyed the session, and what I most enjoyed is the participation and the engagement that happened behind. So I hope that we were helpful to you. And one more thing, that we have a survey, if you can fill it, guys. So we have your emails and we can send you the resources and the material. like the template of the CV, the material slides, to dive more on your own.
Totally.
Thank you, Iyad. Thank you, Hayat.
Thank you. There's one question here about references. Do not add references on your resume or CV. Do not do that. This is a very old school style of writing CVs and resumes. References are requested only when you get to the offer stage and when they ask you, we need references to do a background check or check your references, then you can submit like a Google Doc or an email. You send 3, 5, whatever names of people you worked with, and they can uh, tell something about your experience or your attitude or things like that. But I wouldn't add references on my resume. Make it very, very simple and very straight to the point. This is key in today's world of like noisy world we have right now. I'll give you some statistics. In 2020 or 2019, before COVID, the number of applications used to be in hundreds, and your chance to have your resume read by people or read by like recruiters is probably like you only have 15 to 20 seconds. And I used to be a recruiter. I recruited a lot of people at startups and big companies. Today, the number of applications is in thousands. So the amount of time that recruiters have to read your resume is less. 5 seconds, like the first round reading, it's just skimming your resume. And sometimes they don't even read it. Like if you have 2,000 resumes for one job, you're gonna go into like in a batches model, which is like 200 at a time or 100 at a time. And I read, and I got like 10 people. I'm not gonna wait till read everything, the 1,000 resume, right? Then I call everyone. I'm gonna go and I got 10 people. I feel confident that they're a good fit. I'm gonna call them. If they're not fit, then I would go and read from the other 200 or 300. Does that make sense? So basically, apply early, make your resume really strong, and if they don't get back to you, it's not about your resume, it's not about you, it's about just the law of large numbers where you don't necessarily have any control over that. However, you can beat the stack, right? Like you can be standing out from the crowd by just taking a different channel altogether, which is referrals and connections. All right. Some questions you people ask, the ATS and AI reading my resume and not real humans. This is actually not 100% true. Even big companies, big companies, small companies, there are people who are reading your resume. Their humans are reading your resume. Yes, the way they go and do outbounding, like or outsource, they go and source your resume using LinkedIn, for example. They go and put filters, not AI, but filters. Yes, that was going to be based on keywords, but when you apply, the actual human being is reading your resume. So do not just listen to people say AI is reading my resume or whatever. Try to listen to webinars or conversations led by recruiters or managers of like jobs, hiring managers who can tell you exactly how they read resumes, and forget about your neighbor or your friends or your relatives who tell you this is how it's happening right now. You have firsthand information, quality information, by just going straight to the source. Awesome. Your size accepted. What font size? Usually is 10, 10.5, or 11. Don't go less than 10. Don't go beyond 12, right? 11 is actually good. I personally use 10.5, but don't do that. And don't go beyond one page, right? And just as this one required for resume. Yeah. Again, we're talking about the US standards. European standards are different. They're Europass. So follow the Europass if they have different standards. Recording is available. Yep. And we have resources. Please fill out the rest of the survey. Any last points, Hayat, Cynthia, Michelle, anything you would like to share?
One thing, yeah, I was thinking if we can talk about a real example of the customized part. the 7C? What do you think? Like to recall it again.
What is the question?
Yeah, if you can tell us a real life example about the customization part, because I felt maybe we can recall it.
Real life is because the customization usually is you read the job description 3 times, the job post. You read it the first time in order to understand, like curiosity, what is the job is about, what is the real problem. The second time you read it, you actually go in depth. Uh, and this is where, like the first one, I call it overview. The second one, I called it in view. So you go like really in depth, analyze the words, the priorities, what is the thing that are keep repeating. You can use AI and ask, read this job description or job post and tell me the most important thing that they really care about. Use that, or use your best judgment, which is even better, or both. And the last one is you actually customize your resume based on the things that they have in the job and things that you have, and try to live in the intersection of both. If you have the same resume you apply for every single job, sometimes you're going to overlook some of the important things that they're looking for because you feel like I'm in a rush mode, efficiency mode. That's the problem. So be intentional and customize based on a cluster of jobs. So you don't have to customize every time you have to build a new resume. That's not how it works. You customize based on a cluster.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Cool. All right. So maybe last questions. What is one thing you're gonna do today and things that you learned, that something that shifted your mindset about resumes and CVs? You can put it in the chat. And what is one thing you would like to do today or this week? Hayat, what is one thing you can change your resume if you're applying for a job based on today's conversation? Same thing, Cynthia or Michelle.
Well, for me, the first thing I can do is to filter the search bar, uh, being customized on the title that I'm searching for exactly, and make a list of like 50 companies that I can see the job description of.
Nice. Nice. I like that. Awesome. All right. Any final thoughts?
Yeah,
Okay.
guys, we were talking about the small step that you can take toward like making your CV from what you heard today. I will go with make list update my CV and apply the power of three. Amazing, Manal.
Awesome. All right. We're about time. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Hayat. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, Michelle. And we are live next week. So, or in 2 weeks, right? Like we
Yeah,
this is
after 2 weeks, actually, the third week after 2 weeks, we will be live about the job interviews, actually.
yeah, nice.
So see you there, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.